To be, to be, being. Before I get started into today's talk, I'm going to ask you, how are you being? You, okay, you go ahead. I'm listening. So come on. How are you being? You're being quiet right now. I hear grateful, good, joyful, alive, sad, anticipatory, worried, of service. How are you being? The reason why I ask, how are you being? Because we are human beings. And we are socially conditioned to say, how are you? Even on the phone when you're talking to somebody you don't know, how are you? Does anybody even really want to know how you are? Truthfully? I mean, honestly, it's kind of like it's just a socially accepted thing that we say, how are you? And most likely we're going to say what? Good or fine. We're not going to launch into, well, you really want to know, and I'm going to tell you all the challenges in my life. That doesn't happen. You know, we are socially conditioned. And it's just interesting to recognize, how are we being? And oftentimes we're putting on maybe a face, but there's something going on. I can bet that each and every one of you has a concern of some sort. We all do. There isn't a person that is in their body that isn't having some sort of challenge. Isn't that very good? Yes, for those of you who haven't been here before, it is a trained response. They're very good at it. So I'm choosing to begin today's talk by focusing on the word being, because today's talk is how are you being, but we're going to go a different direction of it. So most of you know that I've been doing a series of talks in the last 4 weeks. Today will be the completion of that series, and it is on the 5 basic principles that are universal principles practiced in all religions and sacred traditions. These are universal, they're not just unities. And the Practical Spirituality Guide is this small book by Ellen Debenport, The 5 Principles. How many of you have the book? How many of you read the book? Some of it last week? Oh, awesome. You know, the hands are getting more hands every Sunday. I teach these at the beginning of the year because I believe we need to always get back to basics. You know, anybody who's a master at anything is going to practice their shots. They're going to practice and come back and back and back. Playing the piano, you got to practice and come back to the basics. So if you want to change your life, if you want to have the best life ever, it is, if you want better health, better relationships, you want more peace and harmony and joy in your life, I suggest that you reread to know these principles. But even more importantly is to live them. It's one thing to know something, it's another thing to actually live them. I aspire to live these. I am not a master at this. That's why I come back to it. And the more we do the reading and to understand what these are, the better it is. It's, again, to live these principles, to embody them, and dare I say, to be the principles. Quick review of the 4 principles. Number 1, God is all there is. It is the divine source energy. It is all that is seen and unseen. It is undescribable, and yet it is everything. I like to know it as the source of infinite energy, potentiality, all that's seen and unseen. Knowing that the divine is actually a principle. It's the creative principle. And each one of us is that creative principle. So principle number 2 is we are the divine, and so is everybody else. Let's say that. We are the divine. We are the divine, and so is everybody else. Yeah, we'll work on that a little bit later in the talk. So, So, because we are the creative principle embodied in these little earth suits that we're running around in, trying to navigate as a spiritual being this human experience, we have realized that our thoughts, our feelings, and mostly our beliefs are creating our reality, is creating our experience. So, pay attention to what you're thinking and how you're feeling, and you can change that channel. Again, we're just doing a quick review. Number 4 is recognizing that we have this creative potential and the divine within us. We want to align ourselves with truth, that spirit, health, goodness is present within me, and it is prayer. I spoke of this last week. Prayer makes us aware of what's already there. Everything is there. It's just that I am choosing or find myself not thinking that way. It's being able to give thanks for things that have yet to manifest. I believe every prayer is a prayer of thanksgiving. Now, if you want to review any of my talks on the other 4 principles, they are available on the website, YouTube, and Facebook. So we're going to go now to principle number 5. Ellen Debenport writes, principle 5 is knowing and understanding the laws of life, also called truth. Knowing and understanding the laws of life are not enough. A person must also live the truth that he or she knows. Okay? We need to live it. I'm talking about being this. She says in her book, at last we put the principles into action. These teachings would be useless if not practiced in the real world. She says, but notice, 4 of the 5 principles are about shifting consciousness before shifting behavior. Okay? It has to start in our consciousness to recognize those 4 principles. She says the good news is that we cannot not live the truth. It's spiritual law. It applies to everyone all the time. We are the divine in expression every single day, whether we recognize that or not. It's the truth of us. We are creating our experience through every thought or feeling, whether we know or think that or not. We are in prayer without ceasing because we are communing with an exquisitely responsive universe of abundant good. The goal, she says, is to live consciously in the awareness and take action as guided by our inner being, even when we know that we often express imperfectly. Living the truth is more about being than doing. It's how we show up for whatever we choose to do. When we are living the truth, any action we take will come from a consciousness of spirit and oneness with ego in service to the soul. What a concept. The ego just wants to be like in charge. And the ego is not a bad thing. It's what helps us function. But it is the servant to the soul. The 5 principles provide steps to lead us from ego to soul, from living unconsciously to living in the awareness of truth. Anybody want to live in that awareness of truth? Oh, anybody else? No, I like my ego living and it's all good, Yeah, I'm making it through. What if there is a higher life that is calling us? So the awareness of truth, that's what we're talking about. Awareness of truth, what does that mean? It means that we are aware that God is all there is, that we're aware 24/7, that everything is the divine in expression, whether you believe it or see it or not. When I was in India, we were given the instruction by our master, teacher, was we were to see everything and say, this too is the divine. I have a different picture of what the divine is. To look at something that is painful, a person who is laying in the street, that too is the divine. Seeing a person who is a criminal, a murderer, this too is divine. we are the divine. So are the politicians. Every person, place, and situation is the divine. That's not easy. I'm sorry. I'm challenged with that. Anybody else? Yes. Thank you. God, I thought I was the only one. Figured you all mastered all this. So awareness that all is divine, every one of us divine, to understand and be aware that what I'm thinking and feeling and vibrating at is creating my reality. It's a little scary, but it's important to know that I can change my picture. It's like having the remote on the TV. I don't like that CNN, constant negative news. I'm going to turn to the Discovery Channel. We have the power to change our thinking. And that's what prayer is when I can start to affirm and declare something that doesn't appear to be there, but I'm calling it forth. And with that energy, it then falls into place. So it's pretty simple. Be aware of those 4 principles. It's simple. Is it easy? Probably not so much. Unless you were born into this teaching, unless you were totally born and raised in understanding God is all there is, we are the divine, I'm always creating my reality by what I'm thinking, and I know how to express thanks for all good things and watch how they can come in, because that's demonstrating faith. So the good news is that we have the power to shift, even though we haven't been trained. We've been conditioned from a fear-based world that is fear-based, that teaches us that we're separate. And so would you like some pointers on how to actually live these principles? Yes. Excellent. I was going to say maybe the talk will be early today. So Ellen Debenport, in her book, which you're all going to have and you're going to read and reread until you embody these principles, and that you don't even have to live the principles. What I look forward to is when the principles live me. You know, right? So, number 1. Oh, you all have an index card, hopefully. And if you don't, please raise your hand. And then we'll, back there, Jen, behind you. You have an index card and a pencil or some sort of writing utensil. Jen on the other side as well. Thank you, Jen. So why I'm pointing this out is because I trust you really do want to live these principles. And so this is an opportunity for you to write down these pointers. There's going to be 4 of them. And Jen's going to get you over there. Christine on the other side, keep your hand up. And there's another person, couple people, there's 3 people on this side. So you're going to be able to jot this down because I really want us all to live the principles. Not just, I heard those, and they went in one ear and out the other. Okay, so God, the divine, we already know His Spirit is all there is. There are 4 questions. You're going to ask a question of yourself, and this is what I'd like you to write down minimally, is, am I recognizing the divine in this situation? Am I recognizing the divine in this situation, in this place? Because God is everywhere. So whenever you're seeing, am I recognizing that the divine is there? Whether I can see it or believe it, I need to. And again, you can put into, this too is the divine. You can say, that's part of your practice. This too is the divine. Now I'm going to give you a story, a true story. 1995, I was taking foundational class with Centers for Spiritual Living. And so I was just new to this whole God is all there is thing, and it's 5 steps of prayer, but that was always the first one. So my friend Janet and I are on the West Coast near Santa Barbara, just north of Santa Barbara, enjoying the coast, driving down the one, and we pulled the car over, And we walked down the cliff, and we're walking along a very much a deserted beach. There's nobody here. And we're walking along by the waves, and we're walking, and all of a sudden, there's a seagull. Now, there's a lot of seagulls, at the beach. And as we walk, we get closer and closer to the seagull, and the seagull is not really flying away, which is what I would expect. The closer we got to see that the beak of this seagull had fishing wire wrapped around it and a hook in its beak. Exactly. I didn't know so what happened for me is I just started this mantra, this voice in my head just kept saying, God is all there is. 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 What are we going to do? God is all there is. What can we do anything? God is all there is. God is all there is. And then as we're like, what would we do? And then we noticed that there is a couple over by the cliff, and we yell and flag them to come on over. Man and a woman come over and point out this seagull. God is all there is. The man pulls out of his pocket surgical scissors. Okay, I know, I always go to the beach with surgical scissors in my pocket. It's a must-have. Every time I'm sure you do the same. So we take a jacket, we surround the little bird and throw a jacket over and gathers them up, and he takes out the surgical scissors and snip, 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 and then pulls the hook out, puts the bird down, and the bird is now pecking in the sand. I don't know how hungry that little bird was and how long that had been there. And as we were looking at each other like shocked that we have witnessed this, we're hugging each other, and all of a sudden 50 yards off of the shore, dolphins are jumping. Okay. Is God all there is? All I did was God is all there is. I don't need to know what's going to happen, but it is called, make that your affirmation. When you're in a good place or there's a stressful thing going on, an accident on the street, God is all there is, God is all there is, God is all there is. Recognizing God is here, God is there, God is right there. I can't see it, but I'm going to declare God is there. Something is good is happening. Okay, number 2. Question, ask yourself, am I recognizing my divinity? Am I recognizing my divinity and the divinity of others? That is the question, because we want to start getting the consciousness. Am I aware of my divinity and that of others? So you can say this statement to yourself as I give you a statement. I am the divine, and so is everyone else. I am the divine, and so is everyone else. You can say that until it becomes part of you don't have to think it. When you don't have to think it anymore, it's because you get it. We want to live this. You want it to live us. When you look in the mirror, go, hey, good morning, divine Liz. Good morning. Hi, Liz. Hi, divine. Divine myself. Now, are you aware of your spouse, your mother, your father, your siblings, your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers? Are you looking at them and silently saying, you are the divine in expression? The person that rubs you the wrong way, oh, they're the divine in expression. Politicians, some of them might rub you the wrong way. They are the divine in expression. I got some more to say about that in just a bit. Criminals, they're the divine in expression. Our job is to remember who they are. Our job is to remember that we are the divine in expression. There's a story, and I'm going to do my best to shorten this up, by Neil Donald Walsh from Conversations with God, The Little Soul and the Sun. So, again, I'm going to take liberty and make this as succinct as possible. Once upon no time, there was a little soul who said to God, I know who I am, And God said, "That's wonderful. Who are you?" "I am the light." "That's right," said God. And the little soul was so excited because he knew who he was, and that's what everybody was trying to do, is figure out who they were. But soon, knowing was who it was wasn't enough. Little soul felt some stirrings and wanted to be who it was. So little soul went back to God and said, "Hi, God, now that I know who I am, is it okay for me to be it?" And of course, God goes, "Of course you can be it. How could you not be it?" And he says, "Well, I just want to feel what it's like to be the light." "But you're already the light," says God. "Well, I want to know how it feels." "Well, I suppose I should have known you're always the adventurous one." Then God's expression changed and said, "Well, there's only one thing. Look around. There's only light. I've only made light. So, how can you feel the light?" And the little soul got confused, and he said, "Well, you're like a candle in the sun. There's a million cajillion lights. Well, how can you be anything else when there's only light around you?" And the little soul says, "Well, you're God. You'll think of something." And God said, "I already have. Since you cannot see yourself as the light, we'll surround you with darkness." "What's darkness?" God said, "It's that which you are not." "Will I be afraid of the dark?" "Only if you choose to be," God answered. "You see, there's nothing really to be afraid of unless you decide there is. You see, we're making it all up. We're all pretending." And then God went on to experience that anything to be known had to be, the opposite had to be there. There's no up without down, left without right, good without bad. And so there's all these parts of being the light. To be the light is special. And so what kind of special did little soul want to be? Because he could be the kind of light that is friendly or kind or giving, generous. There's many ways that the light can experience itself. And the little soul thought about it, and he goes, "I know what I want to be. I want to be the one that is forgiving. Isn't that special?" And God said, "Well, of course that's special. Forgiving is special. There's only one problem. There's no one to forgive." There's always a complication. So he's like, "Okay, this isn't going to be any fun at all. I want to be the one that is forgiving. This isn't going to be fun." And all of a sudden, a friendly little soul steps up and says, "Not to worry, little soul. I can help you." "You will? What will you do? How can you help me?" "Well, I can come into your next lifetime and do something for you to forgive." "But why? Why would you do that? You being of pure perfection and light. Why would you slow down your vibration to be dark and dense and so heavy that you would do this mean thing to me, this terrible thing to me? Why would you do that?" And the friendly little soul says, "I would do it because I love you." And being confused, the friendly little soul said, "You see, we have been together many, many times. We've danced together. We've been the male, the female, the up and down of it, the right and wrong of it, the victim and the villain of it. We have been through eons of times together, and we always come back together to assist each other in realizing who we really are. That is why I'm going to do this for you." "But what will you do?" said the friendly little soul a little nervously. Friendly little soul, "We'll think of something." Then the friendly little soul got serious and said, "You are right about one thing, you know." "What?" "I will have to slow down my vibration and become very heavy to do this not so nice thing. I will have to pretend to be something unlike myself. And so I have a favor to ask of you in return." "Oh, anything, anything. What is it?" Well, What can I do? You're such an angel for me. And of course, God jumps in and said, yes, friendly soul is an angel. Everyone is an angel. Remember, I only send you angels. So what can I do for you, said the little soul. Friendly little soul, in the moment that I strike you, in the moment that I do the worst thing that you could even ever imagine, in that very moment, yes, what? Remember who I am. Oh, I will. I'll remember. I'll remember you just like this. Good, said the friendly soul, because you see, I will be having pretended so hard, I will have forgotten myself. And if you do not remember me as I really am, I may not be able to remember for a long time. And if I forget who I am, you may even forget who you are. And we will both be lost. I will remember you. I remember you. And so they went into the next lifetime. And the little soul was very excited about being the one who was forgiving and always was looking at new people in little soul's life to be forgiving. And he always remembered God's statement. Remember, I have sent you nothing but angels. We are here to remember for each other, for ourselves. We are God beings that have strayed off the path it may be. So that's 2. Number 3, are you aligning, ask yourself, am I aligning my thoughts with what I would most love? Am I aligning my thoughts with what I would most love, to be, to do, to have? Or am I focusing more on what I don't want? What are you focusing on, what you don't want or what you do want? Emerson said, stand guard at the portal of your mind. When you see a negative thought or something you're focusing on what you don't want, because whatever we're focusing on and paying attention on is what we're going to get. So stand guard at the portal of your mind and focus on what you would like, what you would love. Now I'm going to share with you this part, principle number 3 in her expression. She said, principle number 3 is what we focus on expands. That means we can live the truth merely by focusing. And we can focus on harmony and peace anywhere. By the same token, focusing on what we dislike empowers it. This is important. For example, leaders are elected physically with our votes, but metaphysically through our collective consciousness. Suppose candidates A and B are running for the President of the United States. Half the country is voting for A. The other half not only supports B instead, and they despise A. The polls say it's a toss-up, but candidate A with their attention, but candidate A will take office because of the tremendous emotional focus on him or her. Both sides are choosing candidate A. Where am I? Both sides are choosing candidate A with their attention and emotion. Both are providing energetic support for A. Whether they go to the voting booth or not, half creating the outcome they want, while half are creating what they don't want through their fear, resistance, and negativity. I think this is really important right now, this year, okay? If you're not liking somebody, stop it. Do not focus on fear and doubt and worry, okay? Because that's going to just give more energy to anybody that you don't want. This is a spiritual practice, and it is time that we do this. I also have out in the foyer, Ernest Holmes wrote Prayer for Our Country. So it's a half sheet of paper, it's on the foyer and a little stand. If you're in the cyber sanctuary and want it, send something to revliz@unitysantafe.org, and I can send you a prayer for our country. I think it's so important that we live the truth and that we take that prayer and practice it. It's affirmative prayer, knowing that all things are God, everything is working out, regardless of what you're wanting to be afraid about. This is our mission. I know you're listening. I know you're paying attention. So I want to thank you for that. And then, so that's number 3. Number 4, ask yourself, am I giving thanks? Am I giving thanks for what I would love, whether it's there or not? Because prayer is aligning with what we would love. Am I aligned? Giving thanks. Prayer is giving thanks for what's not there that you would love and to feel it. It's the vibration that we're creating through the affirmations. We need to pray not to God. Again, I spoke of this last week. We pray from the consciousness of God. That is in this book that I know that you're all going to pick up and read because you're like, this is good stuff. And I'm like, heck yeah. I want to live the truth. I want to be the living truth. And I want all of us to do it because it's the collective. We're doing this together. So knowing and understanding the laws of life are not enough. A person must also live the truth that he or she knows. To live the truth is to be the truth. It takes some effort, but I believe that we can be the change. We can be the change we want to see in the world. We have some work to do, but you've got some questions to ask, ways to look at, read, think about it. We can change this life and be the love, be the life, be the truth, be these principles, and we can live them moment by moment. And so it is.